Welcome back to the Nullified Take, where we've got the TNT takes for you on Million Dollar Island, Australia. Week 2 is in the books, and we're here to break it down. I'm Kahuna, and I'm joined by the Wonder Boy himself, the Great White Hope, Mucky.
Yo, thank you, Kahuna. I always love your introductions, man. So energetic, so full of love. How have you been, brother?
I'm very good, mate. Very good. I'm feeling much better than the last couple of weeks. It's still freezing here, and I hate the weather at the moment. I wish I was on a tropical island, perhaps. That might be better, better weather. I'm sure New Zealand in June is not great either. But how you
No,
been? You good?
I'm doing absolutely amazing, man. What a great week, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So full of stuff.
Yeah, we got 2 episodes to break down tonight. A shortened week, or maybe the standard week. I think the first week was the extended week. We got the public holiday in Australia, so we got the extra episode to kick us off. But this week we're back to 2 episodes a week, Monday and Tuesday, and of course Thursday night here on TNT. We're here to break it all down for you. I hope that anyone that's watching live tonight, welcome. We're gonna have a good time. I do want to send a big shout out to, first of all, Christoph. He said, I love this show. It has so much potential. And those moves by some people, early days of Survivor come to mind, no doubt, I'm sure. And of course, our old trusty, faithful, before Danica B, I just dropped my husband at work, heading to the computer soon, so he'll be on audio in the car until then. That's fine, Danica. We'll hit you up on the screen when you get there. Jonathan. Evening, guys. Evening,
Hey,
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
The player's so nice they named her twice. Joy back in the building. Muck off back to camp and get your bulges out. We'll save that one for later. And then Jonathan letting us know State of Origin was Wednesday. It's true. State of Origin was Wednesday. And I thought it was specifically for that reason, because going up against State of Origin is an absolute no-win situation there. But I checked the schedule for next week, and no Wednesday either. We got House of Dogs or something like that on Wednesday night. So Monday, Tuesday for Million Dollar Island, Australia going forward. But this week we had 2 mammoth episodes, episode 4 and 5. What do you think of this week, Mucky? How'd you find it? We're sort of getting into the groove of things. We know the rules. We know the format. Doesn't mean they don't change it on us. But we're starting to see how it evolves and stuff. And how you feeling about it?
Oh, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. This is definitely the Brett show. So that's the sort of vibe I'm getting from these first couple of weeks. I think Brett's making it really deep. He's all over the screen time, the confessionals. He's dominating the challenges. Yeah, this is the Mad Dog Brett show at this point.
And with good reason. He plays a big part in the show, not only from the edit and what they're showing us, but in the actual gameplay. He cannot be ignored, and we definitely won't be ignoring him tonight. Yeah, plenty going on. Episode 4 kicked off this week on Monday night. We started off the week after a big first week with 79 people remaining. And episode 4 was the one that teased us about Brett having the power again to choose camp versus camp. It was going to be a big episode with a big challenge, and a lot going on. In fact, there was so much. Look what Jonathan said here. If one episode eliminates 28 more people, there may only be 2 weeks left.
Oh, gosh.
I think they're going to try to maybe slow it down, perhaps. But, I mean, there's not much you can do to control. One of the things we'll talk about later in the show, but one of the things they're doing is the next challenge that is going to be nominated for is only picking 4 players instead of 5. So that's a way they're limiting the number of people. I don't know how they limit the quits, and then the quitters not saving the people eliminated as well. So you can't really control that. So it's a lot of fun that way. But yeah, it seems to be really, really ramping up very fast. And episode 4 was a big catalyst for it, because we start with Brett in power. He's in his little solitary confinement tent with time to think about what he's going to do. He's going to make a decision about which 2 tribes of the 4 will actually face off. And at that stage, no one knows what's going to happen, what that actually means, what it entails, what's going to come of it. And at this point, one of the things that we've seen, Mucky, is we have to get used to, and I'm finding this bit difficult, coming from the Survivor background, coming from other reality competition background shows where we watch them, study them, analyze them, break them down. We know that the edit usually shows us almost the exact opposite of what this show does, right? The edit shows us who's going to go far and who's important to the overall season. Whereas Million Dollar Island tends to take it, who's going to be important for this particular episode. And
Yeah.
some people say it's foreshadowing in the edit. Some people say it's a freaking spoil that we
Yeah.
know something's gonna happen. But we actually get introduced to Corey at this point.
Yeah.
He backstory. We find out about his, being a PE teacher and his story about being adopted and all the touchy feels about the background. And I'm like, this is going to mean something here. Either Corey's going to play a very significant role, or Corey's going bye bye, and we don't know which, but we know that he's going to play a big role in it. Um, and that's the one thing that I'm really liking. Speaking of which, Corey Ryan's
Ah.
hey fellas, my fellow campmate said to come on in. The golden retriever call was true in the end.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. Our everyone's favorite golden retriever, Corey. He is, of course, the thumbnail tonight, playing a big significant role. And that's, as I said, we got introduced to him at that point. And it shows, like one of the things that I found confronting about this show, Mucky, is we're so used to, again, like having the edit tell us who's going to go far and who's important, and getting used to one person at a time going home. We know that one person, so you're not too worried, but the first week was such a hit to the face, going, oh my god, like four people just went, like six people went home. No, five people went home on the first day, kind of thing. And I'm like, this is really confronting. Like, I'm not sure what to think. And then it just kept on happening and is snowballing even more. And
Yeah.
one thing that I'm actually liking about that fact, right? And it's subverting what is the norm. It's challenging what we kind of came into it expecting of other shows, but it's also doing a thing where it kind of establishes itself as its own show. Yes, there are survivor elements to it. Yes, it's kind of got the feel, but Million Dollar Island Australia is doing their own thing, and they're not going to be doing exactly what we want as fans of other shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, it's definitely something quite different, which I do enjoy. They're doing something different because the common complaint for Australian Survivor is that, it's the George show, it's the Geordie show. Like we know who's going to win by episode 2 because of like the screen time and the energy they're getting. But I like the fact that it's just all about that one episode, and they're sort of doing it episode by episode. There's no real play on from the episode before, which I think is quite interesting because a lot of viewers in Australia are just like a casual audience. They're not really like super
Yeah.
duper fans who listen to our sort of podcast or who would really deep dive into it. So
I
it's
mean,
actually kind
hopefully
of,
that changes, right?
yeah, hopefully. But yeah, it's smart how they've done it where like they just blatantly tell you just who matters this episode.
Mm.
Yeah.
Jonathan put it really concise. This is one of my thoughts as well. Quitting being a core concept and not an outlier is also a mindset change. Like
Yes.
it's changing a lot of how we see these games, and I'm really appreciating that. As confronting as it is, as much as it's a bit of a head. I'm trying to think of the word that doesn't start with F. But yeah, like it's hard to get your head around, but
Yeah.
as we're going along further, I'm starting to really appreciate those differences and make it its own thing. Big shout out to Corey from Joy saying Corey is my hero. Hashtag fly kick. Are we going to see
Ooh.
something about fly kicks coming in soon? And Corey said, I appreciate the thumbnail. I appreciate you being our thumbnail as well, Corey. One thing I can ask, mate, if there's a request, if I can put in a request, next time you're doing a really great epic Jesus pose that might get grabbed for a thumbnail, put the water bottle down. Because I had to edit that thing out and your fingers are made up out of like MS Paint. If anyone ever looked at a thumbnail really closely, your fingers are all wonky, mate, because I did you wrong. But I figured if it's just a tiny little thumbnail, no one's going to notice unless I tell them. Uh, so yeah, we're introduced to Corey at that point. We're seeing different things come into play, and one of the things they do to sort of, I guess, make sure that they don't die, because we've heard how very few calories they've actually
Yeah.
had out there, is they put on a big giant breakfast with the world's largest picnic table. What did you think of like
Yeah.
bringing everyone together in one gigantic long picnic table? And what it said to me is it really shows the scale and how epic the show can be. We're already like quarter of the people eliminated, and then still trying to fit them on one table on the beach just gives this grand shot of like people running crazy again, this time for food again. But it adds to the visual like element of a show like this, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially with a show that's got 100 people, and the whole big thing is like, there's so many different types of people, so many different walks of life, so many different characters, and just seeing them all together is just quite like jarring. Like, wow, it's definitely a lot, but that's definitely the longest table I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it came at a time when we're starting to see some of the camps talking about their resources dwindling. Even Wok Camp. I'm going to make sure I say it correctly the entire episode. Even Wok Camp, with their abundance of food and hidden pasta, was starting to feel the pinch a little bit. Food starting to get tight, and then that brekkie came, or the lunch came with at just the right time. Except one person's missing. Right, Tay sat down. He thought he's being smart to get a bit of screen time, and thought he's sitting next to the reserve spot for Ants. Turns out it was for Bretta's world, mate. He's out there thinking
Yeah,
about what he's gonna do, and he comes to the big lunch and drops the announcement that no one knew about. Is that this challenge, this episode 4, was going to be the much hyped camp versus camp, and he lets them know all about it. It seemed to shock a lot of people. One thing, again, this show is not sticking to the same tropes all the time, over and over again. We know that there's going to be arena challenges. We know there's going to be survival challenges, and we know that there's not going to be a survival challenge for every single arena challenge. And then we throw in things like camp versus camp, and I'm interested to see what else they can sort of come up with, because it seems like there's no, as much as they say the tagline for the show is where society's rules don't exist, there doesn't seem to be a set format for episode to episode either, which
yeah,
is hard to predict. And for a show like us where we talk about these kinds of things, it makes it difficult, but it definitely makes it fun as well. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know
yeah,
what's coming up, and we're kind of discovering it along the way with the Islanders too. What do you reckon?
yeah,
Islanders,
exactly.
contestants, players? What's we got some people here. Look, here's a shout out to Kara from
Hey,
the I said
Cara.
hi legends. What is the preferred term? What is what's the correct pronoun for people who participated?
Is it like castaways,
Castaways?
outcasts? Yeah.
Outcasts?
What do you reckon?
Interesting. We'll come up with something. Imagine if we coin the term that then becomes, going forward.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
that would be
If that's the
legendary.
case, we'll just come up with something really wacky out there. But yeah, so at
Yeah,
this point, Ant comes to confirm an entire camp will actually be wiped out with the results of this challenge. So not
yeah.
we're not satisfied with. Oh, here we go. Confirmation from an Islander herself. Islanders.
Islanders.
Jojo is actually
Okay.
multiple. Being from the Philippines, lots of islands there. Also
Yeah,
onto $1 Million Island, Australia. Oh, maybe this one, Mad Dogs. I don't
that
know
would
if
be pretty
I
great.
don't know if that one will work as well, Jojo.
100 mad dogs are stranded on the island.
I would watch a show about actual dogs stranded on an island and see what they get up to. That'd be fun as
Yeah,
well. Just
that would be
puppies
so good.
pouncing everywhere. That'd be good. Big shout out to Georgia Islanders, yeah, but Moya. Hi guys, thank
And
you
more,
for
yeah.
joining us. Oh, here we go. Kara said, "Oh yes, I've arrived at a good point. Good part." Ooh, yeah, absolutely, Kara. And Jonathan confirmed, Mad Dog Hershey.
Oh,
Mad Dogs. Okay, Mad Dogs. I don't mind that. All right. So Ant comes and says one entire camp will be wiped out, and Brett chooses. This is where he gets to announce who's going to be playing. He announces log camp, and his reasoning is because it's too far to walk. Which,
yeah.
I mean, I completely get that. I mean, that probably would have been my first choice as well, just because of the distance. Walking on sand is not easy. I'll give you
It's
that.
not, no.
And then the second camp that he chooses also happens to be the next furthest along. I don't know if that's coincidence or not, but happens to be rock camp, or as Ant says, walk camp. Right. So then we get Kara saying, when we found that out, I knew straight away it was against rock because of the distance. That's great. I know
Oh, crack up.
I'm hoping he says it jokingly, but it was just pretty funny because
Yeah,
it makes complete sense to me.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah, she
sense.
just had a feeling. And of course, Christoph says, and it changed things forever. Forever. He
And
said it
I'll
like
tell, like,
5 times, man.
I know it was so funny.
Forever. um,
Oh,
so yeah, rock camp, log camp, arena challenge. First time we're seeing camp versus camp. And this challenge has shades of Survivor. We've seen similar things before. But again, like Million Dollar Island Australia does, it kind of ramps it up a bit. It's a little bit more on steroids. We see also, by the way, first time this has happened because we're having it in teams. I don't know how they coordinated this when everyone picked their own camp and it was completely random, but blue versus red.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I like that they did
yeah,
this. They're like, viewers are stupid. We need to make it easy for
yeah,
them to understand what's going on. Well, not stupid, but it's hard to see when there's 30 people running around
yeah,
randomly in the water. Let's
yeah,
put them all in
exactly.
uniform. It's sports uniforms, right? Like sports do
Yeah,
it to so you know who's who. I like that they did it. I'm assuming that they were told to bring colors of all types, and then said, "Hey, today you're wearing blue. Hey, today you're wearing red." But
yeah.
yeah, that was good. Blue versus red made it easier for us, right?
And blue versus red is such an iconic rivalry color as well. What really stands out? Blue versus red. So yeah, it was a
Look,
great choice.
I mean, blue versus red happened last night, which is why we didn't have an episode of Million Dollar Island Australia,
Oh,
and I'm very, very disappointed that New South Wales lost. I know over the ditch there, you don't get to participate too much in the state of origin side of things, but yeah,
but on that note, for the first time in like so many years, my hometown's team has made it to the Super Rugby finals. So my blood is pumping. I can't wait.
there you go. What team's that?
Yeah, Chiefs. So it's part of the Waikato region.
And the only people that are probably really going to care about that monkey is you and Titus.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm pretty sure Titus from Waikato. He's got to be. He's got to be.
Kara confirms we had to pack 4 different colors, but didn't get told why.
Oh,
It's like house colors from school, isn't it?
yeah,
There you go. Jojo says as well. We
yeah,
got to ask. We got asked to bring different colors, and then Christoph did the old classic, which I mean, I'm looking forward to if they ever break this out. But skins
yeah.
versus shirts. Again, if
Sure.
I was on skins versus shirts, big just blur censorship bubble over my entire. It basically take up 2/3 of the screen. Oh no! I thought you were cool, Jonathan. We were friends, mate. As a West
Wow.
Aussie, union is better than league. All right, all right, all right. I don't want to. We don't want to get into politics here. You know what I mean? I don't want to put off any viewers. But yeah. So we have 2 teams: red versus blue, wok versus log, and they have different teams set up within the teams themselves. I think he called it like the strength team and the quick team or something. Like they kind of broke up strategically as to who's going to participate in which particular section of the event. The first part, they swim out to a giant platform in the ocean, as they do a lot. They couldn't sort of start the process of undoing a giant battering ram until everyone was on top climbing cargo nets. Then this battery ram had to be transported back to the shore and used to release colored blocks from a cage.
Mhm.
Those colored blocks then had to be used in order to make essentially a tower of, I don't know how you would describe. I was in my head, I was like, it's like color Sudoku. You can't have a
Yeah,
repeating color on the same side of the tower, right?
yeah.
When you saw a challenge like this, what did you think of it? What was your thoughts around this?
I was like, it's a vertical Rubik's cube. It's like a very tiny vertical Rubik's cube. It's yeah. No, I would suck at this one because normally I see one side they'll blur together. It's like, oh, she'll be alright. I'd easily
It's
fail
one of
this
the
one.
Kara actually said like, "Oh my god, climbing that net killed me. See me get scooped up at the and dragged
Yeah,
across." I was like, when you got pulled up, I was like, "Oh no, I wonder if she like just got rope burn all along while they're like dragging her up. That would have sucked." And Joy said here, because this is what I was about to say, Joy, the puzzle part went for nearly 3 hours, right? And I was
That's
like,
nuts.
I was looking at it going, it doesn't seem that hard, right? Like it seems like, okay, just not make the repeating color and then you look underneath into the, but apparently 3 hours, like that's insane. Like it would have been ridiculously hard. Um, and Jonathan said, yeah, it felt like a classic Survivor Samoa challenge. It did. It really did
That's
feel
right.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it
Now,
was
here's a
absolutely
question that I
crazy.
saw asked on social media, on Facebook quite a bit when people are analyzing it. Sorry, not that one. From Christoph, he said, why didn't they try out before inserting to the tube? So, like, why didn't they put it on the ground, figure out what was where, and do it a little bit easier before inserting it into the tower? Now, I'm going to assume, Christoph, and we got a couple people here, that they probably weren't allowed. Like, I think someone would have thought of hacking that. And there you
Yeah.
go. Confirmed by the
Ah,
golden retriever himself, Mr. Big Bucks. Only a
yeah.
short-lived Big Bucks, but he was rich for a little while. Corey, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan said that the Survivor only had 4 cubes, whereas this had 6. Yeah, it was significantly
Ah.
more difficult. And I'll give you some insight, Mucky.
Ooh.
I heard
That's
from
inside.
somebody who
Mm-hmm.
may have participated and
Oh.
doesn't want to breach any NDAs or anything like that. So I won't say who told me, but I do know
Okay.
for sure that the way Log Camp was eventually able to solve it, which I think is really genius, and it annoys me that this was left out of the show. The way they were able to solve it, the colors
Yeah.
actually matched exactly for the previous challenges. So when they were doing the name remembering, and then using the catapult
Yeah.
to get people's things, the order of those colors matched what was going to made the tower correct, right? And then when they
Oh.
went in the cage to dig for the key, and then
Yeah.
use the flippy thing to get the ball into the basketball basket kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
the order of those colors was exactly the same as the previous week, and matched the colors that would get the tower correct.
My gosh.
Yeah. So what it actually came
That's a
down to,
genius.
was them remembering that and having to go, what was the colors again? Maybe we should try that. And it was actually correct, which is kind of genius of the show to
Yeah.
actually do that. Like, do you remember what happened last week? How well were you paying attention? That sort of thing. But then to
Yeah.
leave it out of the edit and not show that we had people out there, islanders out there, that's the right one, that we had islanders out there that actually knew and figured it out, had that smarts, and it took nearly 3 hours to actually do. They
Yeah.
figured it out and they didn't show it. You know what I mean? Like that's a
Yeah. It's nuts.
Survivor would show that. Survivor would show someone having the smarts to figure it out and break the code and then go quickly. But they didn't show that at all, which I found really interesting.
But also in Survivor, they can now practice them at home. So they
That's
would
true.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
advantage. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. No, but that's so sick that they were able to like figure that out just based on the previous challenges. Like that never even occurred to me
Me
at all.
neither. But
Yeah.
that's why you're not winning $1 million, I guess.
Yeah.
Before Danny Kabi said, "Okay, I'm back at the computer. I finally got to see the show, and she loves it." So that's someone from the US tuning in to watch the show here in Australia, and she's loving it. That's great feedback for all the
That's
contestants, I'm
awesome.
sure. Um, Jojo with some insight there. Corey was wearing Georgie's red singlet. He looked lovely. And here we go.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you put the colors in the order of the slingshot challenge, yeah. So it's actually the slingshot and the other one as well. They're all the same, which is really fascinating.
Yeah.
And there you go. Sounds like a smart mad dog.
It's not Mad Dogs. That's
There
definitely a
it
great
is.
name.
Joy confirms. Bobgri. Blue, orange,
Ooh.
light blue, green, red, yellow.
Ah.
Yeah. And Christoph, wow, did not notice that. It's a great catch. Oh, I didn't notice it as well. I was told. And I actually asked, I asked, was it solvable without that? And the person who told me said no. Like, if you didn't know that particular order, you weren't go. It would have been almost like impossible to solve. Because I was like, you just turn it there, and that doesn't matter. But apparently, obviously, proven out by the fact that it took 3 hours,
Yeah.
ridiculously hard to solve unless you have the key, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No, that's nuts. It took them 3 hours. So it must have had to be like very specific or something. Like had to be
Mm.
specifically this color at that
Yeah,
top.
and
This
that's the
color.
only way it really worked in one particular combination. And figuring out that combination would be, the number of permutations and possibilities is ridiculously high unless you know the key.
Yeah.
So Jonathan actually said, yeah, Survivor would have played up on it, and they were setting it up after episode 2 as to keeping on it, knowing like they would have emphasized the color thing so that come episode 4 or 5, wherever it plays, it's in your head and you can tweak to it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever they caught it. Yeah, that's right. Georgia said, "My mama loves Survivor. She said to watch out for those sort of things." There you go. There you
Nice.
go. So, Mama Apple giving some advice there. Kara confirms my gaming community from the US have all been watching too. Go the US. Yeah, it's a good
Oh,
show.
I love that.
Here's the question. This is what I was wondering as well. Jonathan said, which side has to be that particular order? So to get the right order, like to go in the same order, which is at the top, is at the bottom. I guess if you get it on one side, it's going to be correct on all the others, right? So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're doing it on top or bottom, unless as long as you get it in the correct order,
Yeah.
perhaps. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Because if it's in the correct order on one side, like if that's the case, then it should be correct on all the other sides.
I just saw a comment, and I've been waiting. We said it before we actually went
Yeah.
live. What are we going to hear from Volt? Million
Oh,
Dollar
Vault,
Island is the
man.
best show in the world. Everyone should watch it and apply for it. It is the best. There is no guns in my head. Oh, the
Oh,
Vault.
brother.
Voltinator.
Oh,
We're sorry to see you go this week, man. I'm
I'm
really
so
sorry to
sad,
see you. I was
man.
very upset. And I was even more upset that you didn't get much of an edit there, mate. Much deserved, even just based on our comments alone, the comment
Yeah.
section alone. I'm sure you would have torn up that screen for sure. I actually, when I was messaging James thing, I said the only time you actually got real audio on the show was when you shouted out your own name for
Yeah.
you donating your bracelet to. So James's entire edit on screen was James. He's like a freaking Pokemon.
Oh,
Vault.
that's so rough. That's so
I'm
rough.
sad you're not in our screens, buddy. I seriously
Yeah.
am. Uh, Tuning in from North Central Florida, Gator Country. It's a sports university. Yep, the Gators. My biggest problem is remembering everyone's names. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they've. I think there's a lot of people that like, you know what? Maybe you don't need to know this person's name. That's fine.
Yeah.
The people
That's
you need to know this episode, we're gonna show it to you and shove it down your throat for one episode anyway, and then they're gone. You love this
exactly.
person. We get you to like this person. You didn't see this person last week. Now you see this person a lot, and you're kind of digging them. Bye bye.
Yeah. I mean, even then, it's like sometimes, like, because I rewatched the episodes like before this live as well, and still, who was it? The person who got selected for the power, Jake. I was like, huh?
Who?
There's a Jake.
But I tell you what, I mean, I liked him instantly.
Yeah,
He
he was pretty
he
cracked
was a
up.
fun guy. Oh, there we go. Joy said, "You guys missed out on his goodbye speech." I
I
want,
would love, I'd love to see that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And Volt said, "I will." There's plenty more in shore. I'm sure we all apply for it. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man.
there you go. Volt was a larrikin and G'ing up our camps made us all. There you go. See, Volt, you're getting all the love and the feedback from the people who were there with you.
Yeah.
Everyone else in Australia has no freaking idea, man. Sorry, brother. I'm sorry, dude.
Oh
um,
no.
yeah, so they eventually figure out the giant Rubik's Cube Sudoku Tower of Cubes, and Log Camp comes from behind. They were the ones, behind at the start, but again, when you have a 3 hour freaking puzzle, the beginning, the water, the being behind at the start, all of that stuff doesn't really matter at all
Yeah,
because once you get to that stage, but Log Camp figured out the color combination. They remembered what happened last week or the couple days ago and pulled out the win with a massive, massive win for Log Camp and a huge consequences for the game and obviously for What Camp and
Yeah.
the Vault, saying
Yeah.
that he loves the
Oh,
cast. Yeah, the cast is good. The cast is very, very good.
yeah. What's next? Oh, the survival challenge.
Yeah, the
The-
survival.
yeah.
I wanted to say as well. You know when the challenge was actually going, the arena challenge, and
Yeah.
Ant actually announces, "Hey, it's been going for over 2 hours, guys,"
Yeah.
and he actually gets. So it was the original people, Peyton and Dylan, for Walk, and I don't know. I can't remember who was on it for Log, but after 2 hours, he goes, "Hey, it's been going for 2 hours, guys. Switch it up. Get the hell out of there." You know, like he actually pulled the plug on the people that were doing it
Yeah.
and says, "Nah, get it, change it around. We got to finish this. Wrap it up."
Yeah.
Um,
That's so funny.
yeah. So then, obviously, the
Yeah.
changeover finally figured it out, and Log Camp rules the day. So then we're, What Camp's facing elimination, and the weird thing about the thing that sat in my gut funny was that there were such big names on What Camp. Like we had
Yeah. There's
Shani
so many.
with 5, bracelets on a wrist that she won previously. Dino, I mean Dean, I keep calling him Dino. Peyton, who's been a narrator from the start, and I said
Yeah.
last week Peyton was getting a lot of confessionals without actually being involved in the gameplay, unlike the others.
Yeah.
And then we see her go home here. We had Louise,
Yeah.
Australia's sweetheart. Everyone loved the Aussie battler, and she was so lovely. She's out there for What Camp, and all of those things are kind of like hurting my heart a little bit. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and this episode, not only did we have those people, but we also get introduced to Taze,
Yes. Mad Dog
my man
Taste. Yeah.
Taze, the guy with the freaking easily, for me anyway, the best drip out there in his headshot for the actual thing was his pilot's uniform, which is great
Yeah.
in and of itself. But then he had this like really bright pink and yellow, like Versace flowing shirt thing going on. Then when he's actually doing a challenge, it's like neon pink shorts with matching
Yeah.
shoes. I'm like, this guy's the best, man. I love
It's
that.
so crack up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Love
at
his
that
outfit.
point when, knowing that they're going to elimination, Ant tells them only one person will have their bracelet saved. And knowing that that's the case, Rock Camp starts going nuts on like all the food. They're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna like party and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, they want to eat all the food on the way out. It's going crazy. In the next morning, the hangover comes in when they realize, oh, we're actually gonna go into a challenge here. There's probably some people that there's gonna be at least one person still here. Maybe we shouldn't completely decimate our camp and
Yeah.
leave someone with some stuff left in the camp after we all go home. And yeah, like that's when it comes to the survival challenge. Now the
Yeah.
survival challenge. Let's go see what Vault says
Cool.
here. I think the silly thing was that Wok couldn't be saved by quitters. I mean, whoops, autocorrect. I love every decision made on the line. The game was a man.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no,
Vault's just
that
waiting
was
for
rough.
his
Yeah.
contractual obligations to end. Yeah,
Oh,
I think we're all in agreement with that. Kara agreed. I agree with that. Vault. Even Christos said Vault agreed. Was surprised it was the case. Kara said, "I wish anyone quitting could have saved members from Rock."
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it was really interesting. Joy, I was absolutely gutted for all of you. Yeah, and Kara confirmed What Camp was amazing. I keep saying
Yeah.
walk. I love it. I wrote on Facebook on the night, Mucky. I was like, this episode's a real mixed blessing for Ant Middleton, man. Because on one hand, he had to say walk about 1,000 times with Walk Camp playing against Walk Camp, Walk Camp, Walk Camp. And on the other hand, he was probably really, really happy that they were gone and he no longer had to say Walk Camp all the time. But the problem is he has to say Tomoe every freaking episode.
Yeah, ever since you pointed out last week about like his accent and not being able to say R's, like the whole time I was watching the episode, I was like intentionally listening out for it. It just kept making me
He's a
laugh.
great host. I think he's a good host, but I just
Yeah,
hear it every time. I'm like, oh, it just hits me.
yeah,
And Joy confirms that Wok, get it right. Wok easily had the biggest characters out there,
yeah. It
and
definitely
all the
seemed like
food.
that.
There you go. So survival challenge.
Yeah.
This is a mega survival challenge as well because here we go. Actually, before we get to survival challenge, a question from Danica B. The most important question of all. So who actually used the condoms? Wasn't that what everyone said was going to happen on Monday's episode? Or was it left out of the edit?
Oh,
Danica
mate.
asking the big questions,
Yeah.
not wanting to know the important stuff. And with the biggest letdown ever, Vault
Wow.
confirms
Vault, you didn't
no one
use
used it.
them?
I mean, he
What on
teased
earth,
us
man?
with it, not literally,
Exactly.
but he was the one that's talking about the condoms coming into play, and they do
Yeah.
not, as confirmed by Vault. So yeah, so we get
Oh,
to the survival challenge, and we find out like only one's going to be saved. There's no saving from the other people, which you've all sort of denoted as a sad thing. What did you think of that? Like what? I didn't really get why that was the case. You know what I mean? Like, what's the? Is it just to cull the herd because to get numbers down? There's too many people.
I think so. Yeah, I think because I think from like a production standpoint, maybe they sort of potentially realized how they were going to actually present the show, and I think they may have realized, okay, maybe 100 is actually too much, so let's try to get rid of as many as we possibly can in one going. But yeah, it was really shocking because when they first said, "Oh, you can't be saved by anyone," I thought, "Oh, okay, there must not be anyone wanting to quit. Then maybe everyone's like locked in, like no one's really like
Mm.
humming or hurrying or anything." That's what I legitimately thought was going to happen. So it's like, oh, okay, sweet. So there aren't any quitters. So this literally do or die. We're still seeing people quit. Like I'm sure we'll definitely get into that later on. But I was shocked. I was really shocked and sad to see so many great characters go when they could have easily been saved by the quitters.
I mean, here's the real strategy that should have played out. I can't believe they didn't hide the food in the condoms. Then they would have been used.
Exactly.
Uh,
Oh,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what. Maybe I use different size to you, Jonathan. You got the Magnum
yeah,
XLs, mate. With you're only hiding bananas, really, mate. Like what?
yeah.
There's not a lot of pasta cans you could. Oh, maybe I don't know.
Who
Um,
knows? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
So
gosh.
Christopher actually said, with regards to the Rock not being able to save Log not being able to save Rock, the people count would stay the same if they could. Well, that would be if you had 20 quitters. You know what I mean? Like there was 20 something in that camp, all going at once, and only I think there was 6 quitters. So we would have had, even if they saved one each, which we know track record has said, just because you're up for elimination doesn't mean you're getting saved by people that don't want to be there anymore. Which is, again, as I was saying before, one of those things that's really confronting for me and kind of a bit of a head mess is that fact that there's someone there desperate to be saved, standing there pleading, and then they just go, I'll just give it to the out person who's still safe and
Yeah.
already has 20. I'll give them an extra one just for fun, which is so
Yeah.
fascinating and shows really how super duper important relationships and the connections. And I don't know if production had a word to the Islanders or not, and sort of said, look, play it to the people you want to give it to. Don't just save them for the sake of saving someone that you don't know or
Yeah.
whatever. But it weirds me out. Like if there's someone literally begging to stay on the island and I don't want to be there anymore, I would find it
Yeah.
difficult to just give it to another person that's still safe. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it seems to be kind of the thing to do. So it's the way it plays out, and I'm happy to. I mean, we got Kara in here who was one of those people,
Yeah.
the cold-hearted, like looking Titus in the face and going,
Yeah.
maybe we'll see.
Yeah. Brutal. Yeah. Yeah,
Here we
I
go.
definitely
This is
love.
a perfect example. Jonathan saying 4 camps means more camera people needed as well. Yeah, good
True.
point.
Yeah,
Good point.
that's absolutely true. Yeah. I'd definitely love to know, Cara, if you're still here. Like, what was your sort of thought process? Was it more like, oh, you want to give it to someone um who you just like a lot more and just want to give it to, or maybe like yeah, like I guess what's the big difference between like saving someone who really wants to be there and just giving it to someone who you like? Like, does having like 2 or 3 bracelets in the end like matter? If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that made sense.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it makes sense. And I mean, it looks like that's
Yeah,
clearly what they're doing. They're picking the people that mean most to them, which says a lot about again the relationships they have out there. It probably speaks to um like I know this happens in Survivor, but even though it's a short period of time, the intensity of being out there, like in that microcosm, you're with them 24/7, you're really building a much deeper relationship than surface level, and that's probably what it comes down to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. It's something I've sort of gathered from Million Dollar Island is that it's not really a strategy show; it's a social show. It's a physical social show.
So
Like,
far,
yeah,
it is
like
season 1, right? And it's the
true.
start of the
Yeah,
season. What I think what we'll see is if this show gets renewed, and I'm really, really hoping it does. If it goes again, the next group of islanders should be significantly more strategic because they've seen how it plays out. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Oh, look
We
at
get
the look at it.
yeah.
Kara says, "Wait, what? I missed it." No, I was commenting how Kara, you were one of the ones that ignored someone pleading for their life and gave it to a friend rather than Titus, who was begging to stay. And I
Yeah.
did not say she's stone. I did say she was. I was like, oh, this is the cold-hearted, which I was joking. I was joking. Kara seems absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, Volt, look at this. And why is he a cocky little shit where we're all happy he wasn't saved?
Oh, bro. Man, Titus, my fellow Kiwi, I wish he stayed on. He seemed pretty, like, he was so cocky. Like, even during the challenge, he's like, yeah, I'm going to take down Brett. And everyone's like, you know what? Like, let's just take this guy out.
um,
Oh,
Moy actually said, confirm what I think people would much rather give it to someone they connected with rather than someone random they spoke to for 5 minutes. Yeah.
yeah,
And because
absolutely.
I would assume as well, like, the when you say five, it would be literally 5 minutes. Hey, I heard you want to leave. I want to stay. I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. We haven't even talked once on this
Yeah,
entire time, but give it to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm assuming that's a hard sell, and it's kind of what makes the show brilliant that they're forced to do the super awkward groveling, or choose like your mate in the first episode, um, Mike Chapman,
yeah,
to
my
go,
boy
not
Mikey.
going to do it, and then
Yeah,
see what happens, right? Like you're going
yeah.
home. Jonathan says Titus got more content in the preseason ads than on the show. Yeah, he was the one who was doing the neck pull.
Oh, it was him.
Yeah. He was
Oh,
that one. And the backflips and stuff. Joy. Question. Would you give $10,000 to your best friend or the guy at the tuck at the tuck shop? Well, it depends, right? I mean, I'd probably give it to my friend, but I imagine if my friend already had 20 grand and then there was someone starving, maybe I'd buy them a pie at the tuck shop as well. You know what I mean?
exactly. It's a
Yeah.
win-win.
Here we go. Kara actually has answered you, Mucky. I didn't give it to
Oh,
Titus because he was undecided whether he want. Oh, really? He was undecided whether he wanted to stay or not. He was bored, but then when the challenge opportunity came up, he said he wanted to take out Brett. There you go.
okay. That makes
Uh,
sense. Yeah, I guess it must be like quite boring out there, especially because like there's not like daily there's no real strategy. It's literally just come down to do you want to do the challenge, and if you do, how are you going to beg to save your life? Apart from that, it's like nothing really else that probably
yeah,
goes
I mean,
on. Eh?
it
Yeah,
does take strategy out of their hands a little bit more. But I feel like what we've seen so far is when there has been opportunity to deploy strategy, in who you're putting into the nominations, which is really only one person. So there's no strategies as far as alliances go and how you can influence, vote outs and things like that on Survivor, etc. But there's certainly strategy that can be deployed on an individual basis, and then see it all fall down in the challenge on a team
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
Well, I said it completely sincerely. Here we go.
Oh,
Kara's got more information, and so opportunity came up, and so I'll go back. I didn't give it to Titus because he wasn't sure. He said he wanted to take out Brett and have revenge for Mike. And then when he didn't put one thing on Brett, we were all like, okay, he's playing his own game. Yeah, that was interesting. And then he was begging to stay, but then we thought, well, we'll hang out. We'll hang on you. Put yourself in. Well, hang on, you put yourself in yet. Also, my camp realized that he was playing his own game and wanted him gone. I decided to give it to Georgie because I had the best connection with her. She was my wok, and my biggest support. And I knew at the time she had she had what it took to go far in the competition. Yeah, I'm not
okay.
doubting your decisions
Yeah.
whatsoever. It seems like really comes down to those relationships and those connections.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good point, Christoph. He said, and that's the reason that we would love to see in the edit. That explanation from Kara summarizes the thought process much better than anything we saw on TV, right?
Yeah. Straight up.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, I actually have an idea, Kahuna. You know, putting on my cheeky little producer's hat from the diploma I got in 2020. So Survivor New Zealand, its very first season, had one episode. So it was on like 2 nights a week, right? The first night of the week, it was only just the reward challenge and Redemption Island. So it
right.
was more about like getting to know both tribes and then seeing like people's sort of story on what they would do if they were to get out of Redemption Island and whatnot. And then the following episode was the immunity challenge and then, tribal council and whatnot. If Million Dollar Island was to do 2, even 3 nights a week, should have one episode just been just like a 9/11, you just get to know each of the camps a lot better and the people in it.
Mm.
What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
I mean, yeah, like that's certainly the case. I think on a show of this scale with that number of people,
Yeah,
getting that in the edit just becomes exponentially harder. You know what I mean? They've just got so many people to try and focus on and get all those stories out. Like we saw a character like Volt himself who says here, look, I'm going to be real. 75% of the people on that island had no strategy or no idea what was going on. A lot of the people were lost and had no idea about strategy. Yeah, hard chats. Yeah, a character like Volt, which we've seen, he's obviously not afraid of the limelight and putting himself out there. He gets no edit. It's because there's just too much like going on, I guess,
yeah,
and it depends on the flow of the episode. Depends on the story. It depends on what was going on. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to it. Um, we haven't even talked about the survival challenge. So the survival
no,
challenge to save so many people was go fish, right?
yeah,
Literally
pretty much.
go
Yeah,
get go collect as much seafood as you can, and whoever has the most seafood by weight wins the bracelet. Everyone else goes home. And this is fascinating because Ant was saying that there's a whole ton of different seafood out there. There's fish, there's octopus, there's oysters, there's sea cucumbers, and it's dealer's choice. Whatever you can get, whichever way you want to get it. We got nets, we got lines, we got or whatever it is, but they all had a bucket and had to fill it. I don't know about sending people like 20 people rushing into the water and expecting the fish to just hang around.
no,
Like,
it was so dumb. Like seeing everyone
yeah,
like run around the rocks with like their lines and the nets trying to catch fish in the water. I think, mate, what are you
there's no
doing?
fish there.
There's
They're
nothing
gone.
there.
As soon as one person just ran out, splash, 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 they
Yeah,
just,
they're all gone.
they're gone. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's tough. It's a tough challenge. Even out in the water, Shani's taking a raft out there. You know, it's interesting.
I had an
Here's
idea
some.
actually.
Yep. What's
Oh,
your idea?
like how fun it would have been if someone would have just like gone their bucket, just scoop along like I guess the bottom of the ocean floor and try to get as many like
And
small
sift.
rocks and different shells and whatnot. Because if you think about it, it's all about weight, right? So if you have
Yep.
like a ton of sand and water and a bunch of just these random rocks, be like, that the muscles. There are
Yeah.
yeah,
When I
you
s-
know,
when they
yeah,
were showing like Taser's bucket with all the oysters, I'm like, how many of them are actually oysters?
yeah,
How many
yeah,
are there rocks at the bottom? He's like, they're all oysters, I swear.
yeah,
They did have
yeah.
drainage though, so water and sand and everything would kind of come out the bottom and kind of catch what was
Oh,
left. But yeah, so
okay. Yeah, because that would have been so funny. It's like, oh, I've got the heaviest bucket. And it's just sand. Yeah,
here's some insight from yeah, it's just sand. That's right. I mean, you can eat sand. I swear. I used to eat
yeah.
it all the time. I used to love sand and seawater. Yasmin said, I think if you've nominated yourself for a challenge, you know what you're putting yourself up for. A friend may save you, but you also know you need to win or be prepared to maybe go home. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. For sure.
absolutely.
Um, Here we go. Jojo said, so we all knew it was a hang in there challenge. We thought he had it in the bag because he's a gymnast. We never knew about the other part of loading up. Oh, okay, hang on. That's
Must have been
that's
about time
that's
to
next
get into
episode.
this.
Yeah, they're like skipping episodes. They're getting
Yeah.
ahead of me. Um, Mucky, Volt responded to you. Mucky, I see your point, but I think the edit was amazing. Would it change a thing? Oh, dude.
Oh, I love you, Bolt. You always make us laugh, man.
Kara said, I'm just so happy they actually showed a reasoning of why I left because unfortunately a lot of people weren't shown as to why. Yeah, I'm glad you got your flowers there
Yeah,
as well, Kara.
yeah. It
There
must
you
have been
go.
pretty hard.
KK gave half her bucket to Tess. Ah,
Oh,
see, they didn't show that. Tess looked like she grabbed all the sea cucumbers herself. So what we
yeah,
actually ended up with was Taze kind of being the because we know that he got introduced to us at the start of the episode. He's going to play a
yeah,
big part at the end of the episode.
yeah,
And in the survival challenge, he chooses the oyster. He chooses the oyster method. We got Peyton on the raft. She gives it to Shani, who's fishing out far. We've got Tess just pulling cucumbers out of her pants,
yeah,
like sea cucumbers, just out of every part of her apparel, just like getting sea cucumbers, which
yeah.
disgusting, but like, that would have been
So
so gross.
nuts.
But she's
Yeah,
a mum of six, so she's had like
yeah,
gross stuff on her a lot. And oh, here we
yeah.
go. Mucky,
Oh,
they
okay.
apparently checked the buckets. Okay, so no
Oh,
rocks,
okay.
no
Yeah,
rocks. Oh, look,
yeah.
it's Louise. I wish I dug for sea dicks. Oh, Louise. I'm so glad to see
Oh,
you. I'm so sorry to see you go.
yeah.
A true light on the episode. And of course, Carlene was there as well. She's getting shout outs. Look at all the love in the comments just from the
Just
you
from the
know,
cast. Yeah,
just from the cast, yeah. This is a
yeah,
good point here. I want to bring this up from Danica. She said, with technology today, there's no reason not to have clips on the network streaming site. They could be extended scenes or activities that weren't shown within our show. Yeah, that's true.
yeah. Different like secret scenes of just like each camp. Maybe like a 5 minute secret scene.
Um,
Yeah.
so Volt said Taze did F all Terry second was really? I
God.
mean, what you said was real. Okay. All right. You're saying he didn't get 2.6 kilos or whatever? Like he literally did not get the 2.6 kilos.
Well, to be fair, he dropped it all back into the ocean.
Yeah, but at the end he still got weighed, right?
Yeah, true, true.
Um, yeah, Tay's got that. Tess had the sea dicks that
Yeah,
Louise wished she was digging for. Tess just with the sea dicks everywhere, and and when it comes to wow, he came like third or fourth. Fascinating. Like
wow,
that
that's
seems like a
nuts.
really. I don't know why you would manipulate that specifically, but yeah,
Hey, I mean,
interesting.
he's the big fancy pilot going up against the number six, like
Yeah,
a David
yeah,
vs Goliath
maybe.
story. Yeah,
Yeah. And Georgia said MDR update. That's where the condoms are with the C dicks. Because the producers loved him. Okay.
ah,
Stays popular with the producers.
Mad Dog.
So yeah, what it ends up, whether Terry came second or what TV showed us with Taze coming second. Oh, we're gonna lose Volt here for a sec.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
1 sec. My phone's ringing. Channel 7's calling. There you go.
Oh gosh.
And Danica said maybe 2 and 3 didn't have as much personality and they liked him better. I mean, yeah, it's a very
I
real
mean,
possibility. They want to show
I don't
those
know.
pink shoes and shorts, man.
I mean, but I don't know about that because we were saying just before the live Kahuna how like a lot of players who've been watching our live streams haven't actually been getting that much content. Like
Yeah,
and definitely like so many great different personalities out there and whatnot, but they sort of seem to show roughly the same people. Like Carla, like she's definitely getting screen time each episode, and then you just have like just people who are important to the episode. So I don't
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
maybe there are some
Well, I
interesting
mean, that's
people.
what they've chosen. Obviously, so Jonathan was actually saying they all still went home though. So, what's the difference
Yeah,
there? But
true. Yeah,
it's probably more like they're all going to go home anyway, right? So to build the
yeah,
tension, oh, who comes first? Who goes home? Who's going to win? Blah, blah, blah. You need to be able to have two personalities to showcase. Like they're
true.
showing Taze going hard. Taze is going to, oh, maybe Taze has got this. Oh, he dropped it, but he's back in it again. Come on, Taze,
Yeah,
right? And then you got Tess, the mum of six. She's going hard, trying to get all the C dicks she can. So, maybe that's may have made a better narrative than whoever was, Terry, perhaps. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Maybe she wasn't showing all that sort of thing out on TV or for camera, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, Kara said that we had a huge catch up on Monday night for the Camp versus Camp challenge. The 60 Islanders all caught up in Sydney. And I saw some of the
Oh,
photos. It looked like a hell of a
yeah,
night. Seeing
yeah.
everyone
It looked
there.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, it looked good. I'm glad you've had fun and are all keeping in touch. But after that survival challenge, it ends up. I'm going to assume here, Volt. Tess definitely won. I don't know if that was. If you're saying Taze didn't, I'm assuming Tess definitely did. That problem, that wouldn't have stood. I assume. So Tess wins. She survives. Everyone else up on Wok is up for elimination. I was devastated because when it came down to it and we actually start seeing, oh, the time's ticking away, we don't have enough time to win here. And they start just, handing over to the people they kind of want to help out. And we're
yeah,
seeing, yeah, like we see who's actually playing them, six of them, who's not. And I'm looking over on the cast on who's not, and Volt standing there, Maxine standing there, Shani standing there, Dean standing there. I'm like, what is going on? Like, we just lost a
yeah,
whole wave of personalities, one foul swoop, and this show is like George R. R. Martin in um, Game of Thrones, like just wiping out
yeah,
main
yeah,
characters here and there. And I
yeah,
think episode 4 was the Red Wedding episode. You know what I mean? It's just everyone died. And it was like, what the hell?
yeah,
Like, how do we lose them all in one go? Like, what is going on here?
yeah.
I'm sure
Exactly.
there's dragons coming or something after that. Here, Volt showing his grit and determination. I quit after 30 minutes. Challenge was 90 minutes, I think. Sticking
Uh,
sticking with it. Yeah. So and turns out Tess wins 5 kilos. She. By the way, another thing I have with Ant, not a big deal, but when the scale went around, he said she actually broke the scale.
what?
Like it looped around because it goes to like
Yeah,
5 kilos, and
yeah,
she went around past 5 kilos. I'm like, mate, it's pretty easy to just when it goes past 5, it's now 6, 7, 8.
yeah,
Like when
yeah.
it when it loops, you just keep counting again. It didn't break it; it goes around and
Yeah.
around.
Who knows? Maybe the whole thing just blew up. It's like, oh my gosh, we need a brand new scale. So that's why they got an
Yeah,
old
you're
clock.
gonna need a bigger scale next time. Don't worry if it goes
Yeah,
like you can't read it past. You can't possibly think if it goes
yeah.
around once and then it's a little bit further. It must completely be broken. Uh, Corey, big
Yeah.
shout out to the Wok Camp saying Camp Wok were huge players.
Straight up.
Here's a question for us, Mucky.
Oh,
You can bring back one character from Wok. Who are you choosing to play on?
oh, there's a hard one. Are we talking about just from what we've seen on the show, or are we talking about like from like our podcasts and stuff as well?
Up to you, mate. Up to you, because I'm feeling I feel like I have to say someone who's looking at the chat right now.
Me too. Me too.
No, genuinely though, I
Oh,
think even though we didn't get to see any of him on screen, Vault I would have loved to see
yeah.
more of. He seems to be a very big personality, and I think we missed out on that. Like he's so
Yeah.
much so that Danica even said, "I want to see Vault on MTV as a challenge. We need
Yeah.
his personality on the flagship." Yeah, he wouldn't give a crap about bananas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, he said, see again, he's building his legacy here.
Yeah.
Vault's actually going to get more love from our podcast comments than the actual television program itself. And he says that the scale was the best one they could afford. All the money went
Oh my
into the
god.
prize.
No, if we're going like including the podcast, I would love to have
Yeah, he's gonna.
yeah, I'd love to see the vault come on, but if we're going just based off like I guess
This
TV, I'd love to have Louise back on.
Louise
Yeah.
was lovely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Louise deserves. I feel like if Louise got the chance to go a little bit further, she may have ended up with a Luke Toki style GoFundMe or something.
I think so. Like
You
I
know what I
really
mean?
think so, yeah.
The People's Champ, even if she didn't win the actual show.
Yeah.
Big call from Jonathan. I'm with you there, man. Brendan, definitely Brendan. Vault agrees. I agree.
Yeah.
Brendan, he was so loud and exciting. Brendan was the
Yeah.
show.
He was.
Mr.
My dog
Funbags
Brendan.
himself. Louise says,
uh,
yeah,
uh,
we love you,
yeah.
Louise. You're great.
Lots of love Louise.
I hope
Yeah.
you had a good time out there. Vault would be the thorn to bananas that Fessy is to CT, which is not really much of one, unfortunately. But I think
Oh,
Vault would be a bigger thorn than Fessy is. Louise gives the warm and fuzzies. She does. Nah.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, after the survival challenge, C Dix wins with Tess. Everyone else disappointed. I'm completely crushed with losing so many people. And then off the back of seeing some of the most I guess, biggest personalities in the show so far um, end up being on the block for elimination, we now get to see if they go beg and plead for their life and campaign for more bracelets and that sort of thing. Oh, no, we don't actually, because they can't be saved. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm talking about episode 5. I
No,
apologize.
yeah.
We go straight to the elimination episode. And because Ant has said that you can't be saved by anyone, any of the quitters, we know that they're going home for sure, which is what was so devastating at the time.
Yeah.
But they get to hand over their bracelets to someone.
Yeah.
And this is where he actually says that you can only give your bracelet to someone in log camp, which is an interesting twist as well.
That
So it
was pretty
has to be
interesting.
from a very specific group. No walk can be saved, and they start handing them out randomly, one at a
Yeah.
time. Whoever the friend is, whoever that
Yeah.
person is that they want to give it to, and Brett's just sitting there like twiddling. He's doing like, I think if Brett had a cat on the island, he'd be like stroking it like an eagle
Yeah.
in his lair. He's just like, yes, yes, right.
Well, I actually got spoiled on this because I watched episodes delayed. So I actually saw this pop up on social media about how they give all their bracelets to one person. So when I was watching this bit, I was like, oh, okay, they're going to give them to one person. But then when they're handing them out left and right, I was thinking, what?
They're not doing it.
Like, they're not doing it. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Was it a fake spoiler? What?
Yeah, then we get to the tail end of the 20 odd people, and that's where James got to have his big moment on TV and just call out James, like which are great. And Maxine steps up. She gets a little bit of time in the sunshine, and she actually says, as a matter of fact, 7 of us have combined to give our bracelets to one person, which is, and that's when Brett was like, oh, like he's like, oh,
Snap. Yeah.
oh, oh no, they're thinking. Oh no. But 7's not enough. 7 is not going to do it. But they all take their 7 and they give it to the golden retriever himself, Mr. Corey Ryan, who's actually sending a shout out to Volton. He said it would have been good to see Volt in the challenge in his dialogue. He's been a good laugh. Volt says, Corey, if you get the wheel on episode 4, which 6 would you put in for episode 5? Oh, interesting. There's a good
Mm,
question.
yeah,
Seeing as Corey had, you know, quite a number of shots after this, we'll get to that after. But Corey gets the 7, Maxine and crew. And then we're thinking, okay, Seven's not going to do it. Brett's still the richest man on the island.
yeah,
And then Shani Big Buck steps up with 5 on her wrist. She donates into Corey. And all of a sudden, Brett is now vulnerable. Corey is now the richest man on the island. The whole game's sort of thrown in a loop because not only have we had 20 people eliminated in one go, then we see a new king of the island crowned
mm,
instantly. And then on top of 20 was it 22, I think 22 wok people, uh I think
yeah.
22 wok
22.
people,
Yeah,
all, most going except for Tess, and then we had 6 quitters on top of that as well.
it was
So
nuts. Yeah,
yeah, a big night, a lot of people going home for episode 4. It really was the wed wedding of Million Dollar Island Australia.
yeah.
Here's the answer, Volt. Interesting question. Volt probably would have picked players on 10,000 to keep me rich. Smart, yeah. But Logcamp has a good game plan, but didn't come off. Yeah, it was a good game plan. It really was. It didn't
Yeah,
work at all, though. Jonathan said, I would have went all top camp personally. Don't let the camps gang up on each other.
yeah,
Yeah, agreed. Surprised no one did 6 from one camp. Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah.
That's a very good point. Again, strategy. Uh, not as prevalent as it could be, I believe.
You know, often like in shows and whatnot, there's a trend and it sort of progresses through. I like to think my main man Mike started this trend of, you know what, there's just gonna be poor strategy throughout the whole show.
Like Mike set the stage.
Yeah,
And
he
we're just going
did.
to
Yeah.
follow suit. And after we say goodbye to 26 people, we have the wheel spin. What number does it end up on, Mucky?
69, baby.
Nice. Nice.
Yes. Oh, still the best
Jonathan
promo
gets
right
the
there.
power again. He's got a 1% shot in the first one, 2% shot in that time, and he gets it twice out of 4, twice out of, yeah, twice. 50% of
Yeah,
the time it's been Jonathan. Like,
yeah, it's
what the
absolutely
hell?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets the power again. He says he's going to play it slightly differently. He thinks he knows what he's going to do this time. And we go to
Mm.
episode 5. And we've been going for an hour and 10 already. Gosh, I'm going to need to follow this thing. Episode 5, 53 left. Tess is a sole survivor in Wat Camp. And we start with her packing her things. And then chaos breaks out as the other camps just Wade Wat
Yeah.
Camp. They just completely try to take what they can. They're taking everything. Even Kyle was walking off with some netting or something like that, and someone goes, "Why are you getting that for? What do you need that for?" He was like, "I don't know. It seems free." It's the best answer. I'll take
It
anything if
really
it's
is.
free. I don't know. It's free, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Corrected. 40%. 2 of 5. Mike, Jonathan, Yasmin, Brett, Jonathan. There you go.
Oh, yes, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this bit of insight from the island. Jonathan was asleep when his number came up. That's funny.
Oh, I mean, fair enough. It'll probably be
And
a long
Kara said
night.
it woke him up.
Oh.
It would have woken anyone up when they go 69. Huh? What? What was that?
Yeah.
So yeah, Tess is sort of getting, raided. She's telling Titus to F off. That's mine. Don't touch it. Getting very upset about the raid of the former Wok camp. What do you think of that? The raiding of the camp and the kind of, you know, the no rules kind of thing going on there, and making Tess very upset because she felt like just yesterday that was my family. Now you're kind of dancing on their grave a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, I personally didn't mind that. I thought it was great TV. You know, I think we should have more moments like that of just pure chaos. You know, because the whole sort of show slogan is like where societies don't really matter or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But we have seen quite like a strong societal format where, you know, social bonds are extremely important. You know, a lot of the people going to challenges are volunteered unless if they have like a big target on them or if they're just not really liked in general. So I like seeing that, for the first time, probably since episode one, it was just like, you know what? Who really gives a shit? Let's just go for it, And yeah, I absolutely loved it. I felt I felt bad for Tess, which is like, my washing was on that, and then it's like,
My clothes are there.
yeah,
On Facebook, I've seen a couple people there's people that watch reality TV and don't necessarily understand that it's the TV part that's more important
yeah,
than the reality part. And they were getting really upset. Like I saw someone post in the um, Million Dollar Island Australia fans group. Shout out to that group. Great conversation every episode that's happening. But they were like, does this show just purposely find the most low morals, worst people in society that would do this kind of thing? I'm like,
I saw that actually. I saw
it's a TV show, bro. Like, relax, man. Like, clearly they're nice, normal people. Like, you think they've literally got the scum of society on a show? Like, it's insane. Like, they
I
just take
mean,
it so seriously.
the show was compared to like a Squid Games. So
Yeah,
you never know. Maybe they did find the most scum, the most scum, desperate people. A mum of
yeah.
six, the lowest of the low, to to compete in this game.
And Yasmin confirming there was food being stolen the whole time, not just from Wat Camp in the Wade. There you go.
I can't
Vault
get over
said,
that, mate. Just
should I
the
keep it
what
going?
can.
Should I
Yeah.
stop by now?
No, keep going.
You
It's
know
so
when you
funny.
you know when you have a bit like there's a joke and you
Yeah,
do it like it's a callback. You do it over and over again so it becomes funny,
yeah,
but then you do it too much, it becomes unfunny. But if you keep doing it where it's so unfunny, it becomes funny again. It's like a
yeah,
cycle.
yeah, exactly.
Volt said, I would have thrown them back into the ocean, drowned a couple, and fought them off if I got weighted. Uh,
Oh,
Jonathan's agreeing. Yeah, it's the boomers on Facebook. They're like, "Oh,
yeah.
I can't believe these people." I imagine when they're typing it, there's like, that sort of thing. It just makes me laugh, man.
Yeah.
Uh, the footage shows that mostly Top Camp waited it, and then she goes to camp. Really, I thought it was Log and Vine, but Top Camp doing the raiding, and then Tess finds solace with Top Camp, ends up at Top Camp, and as Jonathan says here, it gained Top a member. Yeah, so Tess
Mm,
ends up joining Top Camp. So Jonathan wakes up in his solitary confinement. He gets to think about who he's putting. He's feeling more confident now. That's his second time. He wants to be a little bit more strategic. Brett to him is the obvious choice now that he's vulnerable, and Brett knows it too. Like they actually ask him, "Do you think you're going to get put in?" He's yeah, absolutely. Sarah volunteers to go in.
yeah.
Not sure if that's a good decision or not. Um, and Titus showing all the cockiness of a 19-year-old wanting to take out Brett. He wants to go in.
Yeah.
So we have Jonathan nominating Brett as the obvious choice. Parker because he's Brett's right hand man. So yeah, showing a bit of strategy there. If both of them go out, you're knocking out both in one kind of go. Sarah who volunteered. Brock because he's got 4, but probably
Yeah.
more because he jinxed himself by saying he's definitely not going in because of the gay alliance. What do you think of the unspoken gay alliance?
I loved it. It was you can tell it was a truly great alliance. Like really, completely unbreakable. Nothing, nothing could touch her. No,
Uh,
as soon as like Brock said that, I was like, oh gosh, I don't like where this is going. And
especially when someone asked him, "Have you actually talked to him at all?" He goes, "No, never said a word to him."
it's just like a hay thing.
We'll look at each other. We'll know it's kind of unspoken. Did
Yeah.
not work out at all because he was straight in. Doc was
Oh,
nominated by Jonathan, kind of as a heavy hitter. Not, I think, twofold. To be able to take out Brett potentially, but also if he doesn't take out Brett, then that's a strong player going as well, kind of thing.
yeah.
And then Titus again as a heavy hitter to take out Brett, but for the same reason, and also he wanted to go in and kind of volunteer himself. We want to actually just make sure we put a disclaimer out there for Yasmin. She says, "I want to let everyone know I did not wade Wat Camp. I refused to and did not steal food from any camps at any point. There you go. Holding up
Just
very
just
high
watch
standards.
just watching the next episode. It's like a secret camera shot of Yasmin sneaking in behind the camp, taking things from her.
Well, do it, I swear. Not that you
Yeah,
saw.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
there you go. Jake and Parker are the sticky bandits. And proud of it. Really? We didn't see
Wow.
that much.
Sticky bandits with condoms in the bathrooms. Oh,
Even
that's
defending her camp, saying you actually see hardly any Vine camp in the food rating. Okay, cool.
okay.
Danica says, I have enough trouble remembering names. Now I'm supposed to remember which camp they're at. I need the color coding back. The color coding.
Yeah,
Yeah. Make them wear uniforms all the time.
exactly. Yeah, one thing I do miss is like having like because they do this on Survival all the time with like the color coding, but like the name of the tribe is just so easy to kind of remember who's what. Whereas with like top vine, log,
Yeah.
and wok, it's
I figure they were
yes, it's
maybe
a bit
going
slow.
for like a monosyllabic thing. We don't want it to
Oh,
be,
okay.
yeah, just
So
just rock, log,
wok.
walk. Sorry, top, bottom.
Yeah.
Um, Yasmin actually getting called out here by Jonathan. If Yasmin ate stolen foods, she's guilty by association. You
Oh.
may not have waited wok camp, but did you partake in the fruits of their labor? So here's the breakdown of the nominations from Jonathan. 2 from top, 3 from Vine, 1 from Log, and maybe not the best strategy from Log, because by
No.
not putting your people in there, you're protecting them, yes, from potentially going out, but then you're also not controlling the situation at all and having people that you know will follow the strategy because they're not your camp, right?
Yeah. Well, what is the strategy then? Because if you put more people from your camp, only one, max two is coming back.
I think the strategy would be like Volt and stuff was saying earlier. You either put everyone from the same camp,
Mm.
right? So that camp is guaranteed to lose a bunch of people. And if you're targeting Brett and you want Brett out of the game, then putting all top camp would mean like I don't know if Brett amongst top camp, he seems like he's the bad guy of the show, like from the edit.
Yeah.
But in his camp, he certainly seems very popular. Like I'm
Yeah.
assuming he's just a normal, nice dude every day. He just says a couple of one-liners that the TV like grabs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe within Top Camp itself, if you put 6 top campers up there, Islanders, maybe they go, well, we're all in this together. We don't have to protect Brett. In fact, let's get Brett out over someone else. Parker probably wouldn't. Parker would be on Brett's side, I assume. But maybe
Yeah.
that's a thing. Or the other thing you can do to guarantee Brett goes out is um, put 5 of one, like put 5 Vine and then Brett from top,
Yeah.
right? So Vine is going to definitely target Brett first and then let Vine figure it out later. Or the other thing you can do, depending on how willing your own camp is to risk themselves, you go, let's stack us in there. If we go home, we go home, but at least we know that one of us is going to get 190,000 or 180,000 or whatever,
Yeah.
like the big amount, you know what I mean? Like if you had 5 of your own and Brett, you could target Brett first, take Brett out, and then one of your camp is going to get it. But unfortunately, the downside of that is you're putting up 4 of your own as well for elimination too, so
Yeah.
that's always tough kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's,
Volt said, we did an IQ test for the show, and if you got below 100, you got cast. That's why the strategy is what it is.
oh no.
Yeah, Jonathan was
No, I
agreeing.
love it.
So take top camp from 14 to 10 members.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is probably the ideal strategy. Or maybe like you find out everyone who wants to quit that night and just send all of them in. So then they cause as much havoc as they possibly can.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we've got such little data at this point, right? There's no
Yeah,
we've seen things play out one way. We think it's the wrong way. It turns out like we feel like it's the wrong way, but this particular combination, two top, um, one log, three vine was interesting. The strategy should have worked. So basically, we come to the arena challenge. It's out on the water again. Contestants are holding up a platform, and then one by one, they get to then nominate another person to stack weight upon. Right, and this is
yeah,
where Giorgio was saying earlier in the night they thought Titus would be really good at this because he can hold it for a long time. What they didn't realize that there would be the stacking option where everyone can then pile on and basically do piling on it and really target one individual. An interesting question that came up about this, which I would love to know as well. Uh, can't I can't see it. I can't find where it is, but someone basically asked, how were the places drawn? How who chose where? Because unfortunately, what it meant was for Titus, just by sheer luck of his position, he was screwed. He was already getting one, two, three, four on him, and then another four before he even got a second go around. Chris brought it
yeah,
up in
true.
the top five takes, and I think this is absolutely spot on. That it should have been a snake draft, like it goes down one way and then back the other way. So Titus ends up getting the brunt of it first, but then he gets first shot in the next round. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And Doc has the advantage first, but then he gets disadvantage last. So the person in the middle is kind of both ways. It's the best way to do something like that. So it's generally even. Like you always want to be first off the bat, but
yeah.
if you can be first in the second round, it kind of flips it back on them and go. You know what I mean? But oh, there you go. Joy Joy confirmed that they draw for spots, and Titus really
Okay.
just got done by luck there, which is
Yeah,
unfortunate.
that's a bit of a
Danica said,
slip up.
"Kuno, I love the hour plus chat on Thursday mornings. I'm sitting back on my couch with my morning coffee, having a great start to my rain. You."
Ah,
Nah, Titus got picked heaps because he's a little shit. It wouldn't have mattered where he was.
oh man,
Titus.
yeah,
Vault. Freaking hell. Cold, man. Cold blooded.
yeah,
Yeah, so what we ended up seeing is Titus just gets them completely stacked on him. We had Vine Camp with Doc and Brock and Sarah completely ignoring what Jonathan intended the strategy to be, that we'll get three of them there because you're now outnumbering Brett and Parker. You can stack on Brett and Parker, right?
yeah,
Ideally Brett first, then Parker, then you can take out Titus. Then you've still got Doc, Sarah, and Brock standing there for your team. It didn't work out that way. They completely
no,
ignored that. I don't know if there was any discussion or like that plan was kind of advised to Vine, but they did not listen at all. And they went Titus, 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 Titus. They're all agreeing. Brett and Parker happy to like ride that train as well. They go, yeah,
yeah,
sure. If you're not going for me, that's cool. We'll put it on Titus, right? Titus ends up going down. At that point, it's now still three. Brock, Doc, Sarah, outnumbering Brett and Parker. Do they take out Brett? Do they even
no,
try to go for Brett? Doc puts it on Parker.
yeah.
Doc's putting it on Parker. I don't know
It's,
what's going on. Like,
as I said, it all started from Mike, and it's just continued going going downhill from there. The strategy it was,
I mean, even if the numbers thing was right, like Jonathan thought by putting three Vine in there, they would do the most obvious strategy and follow that. But by not, but even with the three they put in there, Doc, yes, good choice. Titus paired with him, if you think that it was going to actually be like some sort of team up, makes sense. Brock and Sarah as your two of your three when you're trying to outlast in a physical strength competition. And the interesting thing about this as well, on Survivor,
mhm,
when they do a lot of the holding up strength challenges and all that,
yeah,
it's usually based on a percentage of body weight.
yeah,
and they make it even, right? Like when you're stretching for things, there's usually a platform for the shorter people, so it's really just on your tippy toes. It's not like completely flat, even across the board, whether you're massive or little. They try to make it like fair. This one
Yeah.
didn't. They're like 4 kilo weights no matter what. Doc, you get a 4 kilo weight if someone nominates you. Sarah, you get a 4 kilo weight if someone nominates you. And there's no difference. There's nothing like that. So having Brock
I
and Sarah there as two of
yeah.
those three was basically like having Doc by himself.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like
exactly. But I think
hard,
that's
hard
more fair
position.
though, because it means that everyone gets like the same amount of weight.
Yeah, the same amount of weight,
Yeah.
but it's not comparable to the body size. Like
Yeah,
four
true.
kilos on Sarah is about 30% of her body weight. You know what I mean? Like,
True, true, yeah.
yeah, yeah, like, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Like people are saying, like, did he even talk to the Vine guys about what the strategy should be? Brock and Doc seem surprised to go. Yeah, I mean, Brock was
Yeah.
in the Gay Alliance. He didn't think he was going up whatsoever.
Yeah.
Krista said, exactly, Jonathan. Did they strategize on the spot at all? It didn't seem like it, to be honest with you.
No.
Kara saying, I just don't understand why they didn't take out Brett in that challenge. It just never, yeah. We're
Yeah.
all, we're sitting here saying the exact same thing. And Joy said, all we knew that it was a hanging challenge. They thought it was more holding on for a long time. By a rope or bar. Then suddenly there was a load up, and Doc said, gang up on Titus. I got you. Because if it's simply just hanging, like endurance hanging on a thing, then Sarah is in a really good position. Then Brock is in a much better position than a Brett or a Doc, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
If it wasn't
exactly.
about holding up weight, but more about holding your own weight and hanging, Doc
Yeah,
would be in a much worse. Yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense, Joy. I get that now. It still doesn't make sense that they ganged up on Titus, though. It does not make sense that it was. Yeah, they
yeah.
definitely should have targeted Brett first. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I 100% agree. I mean, like, for me personally, this is why I love the show, because there is a good strategy. You know, there's something like, what on earth are you doing? You know, like, it makes me, like, more invested to watch, if that makes sense, because I
It
find it
kind
so
of does.
entertaining.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right because the wackiness of it, the non scripted, not I wouldn't say scripted, but the non formulaic approach that this sort of chaos brings adds a whole new dimension to it,
Yeah.
right? And
Exactly.
as much as we're all saying, I can't believe they didn't target Brett. Why didn't they target Brett? Like Kara's saying, it just never made sense. They should have targeted Brett. Why didn't they? All that sort of thing. Like Danica's saying, is girl, that's what I was wondering. It just made sense. So I don't know why they didn't do it.
Yeah.
The side
It's
effect of
nuts.
that, the consequence of that, is that we still have Brett on TV. So I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? It's fun.
Yeah.
Like I'm scratching my head. I can't believe they didn't do it. But thank God, because Brett's still the villain, and then because of this challenge, he goes completely untouched. He just like
Exactly.
he's got one weight to Parker's 3 or 4 by the time it gets to the end, and then Brett wins in a walkover. It was super easy, and
Exactly.
even though Brett is the villain of the show, this did not come down to Brett manipulating, playing good, doing anything whatsoever. Brett was standing there ready to take his shots, which he should have been doing, and they completely ignored him.
Yeah.
Like
It was,
it was weird.
it was so. Oh, I love Brit so much. I would have loved to see him in the eating challenge, though.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he
Yeah,
says
because
he's
he's
going
eating
to eat someone's
spiders
left
out
leg.
there. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing it.
He would have hooved them down.
Yeah, like this is as far as strategy goes, as Jonathan said, as King George said, not equal weights equal suffering. Chuck 8 kilograms on Brett at the start, then go Titus. So that Brett hasn't got the 10 minutes of like chill. He's got 10 minutes of this sucks. And maybe then you can take excellent point. Excellent point.
Yeah. That's a
It
great,
did look
great
like the
idea.
weight was more for Titus. It looked like it was pulling him off the platform. I mean, yeah, he's not that big in comparison, I guess. Yeah, Joy confirmed that Brett was forgotten about in the moment, but we were all thought that he was like, I don't know if Doc and Parker kind of like Parker kind of got into Doc's head and said, "Okay, I'm going for you," kind of thing, because Parker took a shot at Doc. So Doc told Vinecamp to go at Parker, but yeah. Yeah, Georgia said in the heat of the moment, they totally just F the whole challenge and we all watched it in disbelief. I can't imagine
Yeah.
like sitting there watching what's happening and just going, what the, like, what are you doing? Could you scream from the
Just,
beach? I would have been screaming from the
surely.
beach going, what are you doing?
Just find Ant's microphone somewhere and be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
That's stupid."
Brett told me if I didn't leave when I did, he wanted to see me being a gamer up for a challenge, so I would have been gone anyway. Ah.
Mm,
Brett with the threats. Now that I've got the power, he says he was going to put you
yeah.
in, Kara. Okay. Titus ended up with 24 kegs at the end.
Wow, that's absolutely nuts.
I have this thing, right? And it just went through my head, and it's one of my little mental foibles, like glitches that I have. You know how I said the reason why I call you Wonder Boy is because of
Hmm.
that song where it mentions Mucky Muck and it's
Yeah.
Wonder Boy. So all these little associations in my head. Being half Filipino, I and we ate. I mean, look at me. I'm a testament to it. We had a lot of rice growing up, like a lot of
Yeah.
rice, and we would have like you don't go to Woolworths or Coles and get the 1 kilo, 2 kilo bags. We would have 20 kilo sacks, right?
Oh
We carried
gosh.
20
Yeah.
kilo bags of rice, and it sits in a big like bucket that you just every day when you cook rice, go get rice from the big bucket of 20 kilos of rice. So even now, I'm 43, Mucky. I still go 24 kilos. That's more than a bag of rice. Like in my, I'm like everything is in like 80 kilos. That's 4 bags of rice, man. Like
Yeah.
that's just how my head works. I'm like weirdly
Yeah.
wired that way.
It's like that scene from The Office where they get that guy Kevin to calculate like how many like meat pies and stuff everyone can distribute between each other, and he can solve the math just like that. But then the accountant goes, "Okay, how about like pieces of broccoli?" And like same question. It's like, oh, the math just doesn't work. And
uh,
yeah,
Brett does the eating challenge voluntarily every day, eating spiders and stuff.
yeah.
Yasmin confirmed there was a lot of screaming from the beach. They still ignored it. And Jordan says you scream, but they can't hear us over the waves. Okay, I got
Uh,
you. We can't hear you over the waves and us stuffing up the strategy. Uh,
it's the waves. Blame the
and
waves on the strategy.
Kara says she remembers the screaming. I love this comment, Danica. I think it's funny that Brett is the villain of the show, but his tag is that he's an environmentalist. So it's maybe the people that
Yeah.
edit it are just, completely anti-environment capitalists that are, shills for big oil and all that. And they're like, this environmentalist, we're going to make him look terrible.
How dare he do good on our show?
I mean, big compliments from Volt. I'm taking it 100% sincerely. I loved watching the challenges for a full 90 minutes. I think it was fantastic. Just want to say.
Oh,
uh,
oh gosh.
there's a lot of comments. Thanks, everyone. There's a lot to get through as well. Yeah,
Um,
Yasmin confirming he would have swallowed the eggs whole. No worries in half a second. The balloon. Yeah.
how would you
Uh,
have done in the eating challenge?
this is a great. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. But this is a great comment here. Danica being from America. This is me from a non-metric country googling how much 24 kilos are. What is it? It's
Oh,
about 50 pounds.
53?
Yeah, something like that. Uh,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
yeah. So we end up Brett wins easily, completely given a red carpet to another. There you go, 60 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Just a complete walkover, easy done for Brett. He gets $180,000 on his wrist. The
Absolutely
richest man
nuts.
on the island once again. Corey didn't last long as Mr. Big Bucks, Scrooge McDuck over there, hands over the title to Brett straight away. Um, and we go to a survival challenge. And this one is an eating challenge. And
Yes.
much like we've seen when you compare Million Dollar Islands to Survivor. Survivor will do an eating challenge for sure. Island is like, we'll do an eating challenge, but we're going to ramp it up a bit. Even in small ways, they're like, actually, Google says 52.911 pounds. Okay. Very, very specific. And Christoph actually said, um, now you know our pain when watching US Survivor about trying to convert pounds to kilos. That's right.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, 54. So anyway, we get to an eating challenge, and I said Survivor does eating challenges. $1 Million Island does eating challenges, but just ramps it up a bit. So Survivor would do a balut eating challenge, and maybe do a worm eating challenge, and even the Baruch, the sea cucumber or whatever that Ant was calling Baruch. But
Yeah.
the difference is they're like all on the table under platters already, whereas $1 Million Island is like, you got to eat these 2 eggs, then you got to go with 2 worms. Go get them yourself. Go find 2 worms on this entire freaking island, right? And then they're
Yeah.
like, go find some sea dicks out in the water. And that's the thing, that it's like, yeah, it's an eating challenge, but there's like added stuff to it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
um, eating challenges. What do you think of eating challenge? How would you go in that? You ask me. I'll put it to you first because I've got something to comment on that.
Now, in terms of like worms and sea cucumbers, I reckon I could easily just down that. I'm pretty good at just like swallowing things straight away. Quite often I've done like chili eating contests with just my sister, and the key strategy is just swallow it straight. Don't let it sit on your tongue. Just swallow it as fast as you can. So I reckon with those I would have been fine. But like the cracking open the egg and seeing like the duck and the and the yolk and whatnot. It's like,
Hey man,
oh,
balut is a delicacy in my country, man. Like in the Philippines, I
it's
was saying
actual.
like my mum would have been like, "Oh, you're not gonna eat that? Can I have yours too?" My mum would have smashed it. I do have to say
Yeah,
I've never touched balut. I'm traumatized by extension. You know, my cousin was telling me once when he was a kid, he used to love eating balut in the Philippines. He'd go there and on holiday and stuff. He'd always eat it. Um, One day he got one, like it's already a fertilized embryo. Like you can see there's actual bone and beak and stuff in it, right?
yeah,
He said that he had one that was maybe even a little bit even further, and he bit into this balut, didn't realize, and is just chomping away on it. And then all his friends and family were like horrified. He looks down, and he's got blood just all down his chin, all
no,
down his shirt, just like, and he's 8 years old, going, just like, you know
like
what I mean?
did it get like a cut or something inside his mouth, or was it just from like
From
biting
the
onto
from
the
the
duck?
from the thing, from the duck.
Oh my
He's
god!
just chomping, and this is just covered in blood, and he's like, ah. So yeah, when I heard that, and I told my mom, like, Mom, I'm not eating. Look,
Oh yeah.
oh no, I'm not gonna highlight it, but there is some fun times going on in in the
Right,
comments. Titus
really?
and Volt. Oh,
Right, I
Titus
need
and
to
Volt.
scroll back up.
Titus, welcome to the show, brother. We're glad to see you here.
Mad Dog Titus. I'm so sorry to see you eliminated. As a
A
fellow
fellow
Kiwi,
Kiwi.
I love you, brother. Yeah. But I do gotta know, are you from Waikato or the Waikato region? You seem like you would be, and I would love to know.
Oh, this is good. If we can get from our comment section, man. Look, we got Gamer Girl, Kara, saying, Volt, we need to have a game or something soon. And
Ooh.
Volt, another streamer. If you can check him out on Twitch, Voltinator. Kara also on Twitch, Facebook Gaming. Um, I'm subscribed now. I'm following Kara. Volt, I told you get my Prime next time it comes around in a couple days. So that's good. We're making, I like it. I appreciate that. So yeah, it starts with 2 balut, 2 worms, and a Baruch sea cucumber. Doc starts out struggling. He can't get this balut. He's like, I'm not going to be able to do this. He's counted himself out. Sarah's actually pretty comfortable with it. Like she's like, it tastes like egg. And Titus goes, I don't like egg.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't
Mate,
even like scrambled eggs and cheese. I'm like, what the
what?
Titus,
Yeah,
mate?
you don't like cheese?
He's from
Ah, nice.
Tokoroa.
Oh,
Do you
nice,
think he
brother.
would like
Nice.
my? Do you think Titus would be a fan of my New Zealand joke, my Kiwi joke from last week? I've got one for
I'm
everyone
trying to
in
think.
the crowd. I just want to
Say
remind
it again. I
everyone,
forgot it.
I am a dad, right? So dad jokes is kind of my thing. I'm a dad of 3, so it's kind of multiplied. Horrible Kiwi joke, but I love it. It's one of those shitty jokes that just hits my funny bone like really hard. And this is the joke, everyone. You ready?
I'm so ready. I can't wait to hear it again.
What's a Hindu?
What?
It lays eggs, eh, bro? Yeah. What's a Hindu? It lays eggs, eh, bro? There you go. Kiwi joke for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. For some reason, I thought it was the statue bro joke for a
Yeah,
second.
that's
I was
another
like, oh
one.
no, that's right. Yeah.
What did one Maori statue say to the other statue? Statue, bro. There you go. There's some casual racism for everyone.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Titus is saying he can't even eat scrambled eggs and cheese. I don't know what you're having
yeah.
over there in New Zealand, Titus. If scrambled eggs is not good, I don't know what you're eating. But Doc finds his groove eventually. He starts just finding his competitive instinct. He says it kicks in. I don't know, maybe he just got used to it, but he plows through the balut. He's eating duck embryos like no tomorrow. He goes looking for his worms in the forest, and then ends up in the ocean pretty quickly after he downed them looking for his Baruch sea cucumber. The only competition at this point is Parker. Parker's kind of right behind him, ends up in the water at the same time. And then Titus, despite not being able to eat um, scrambled eggs and
Yes.
cheese, he finds his groove. He kicks in. He says that what he likes to eat is pies.
Oh,
Mate,
fair enough.
Titus, if you're a fan of pies, I got some advice for you. Always blow on the pie. Always blow on the pie, Titus. That pie's been sitting in that pie warmer since 9 a.m. It's probably
Yeah.
nuclear meltdown in there. There's an old internet meme. That's
That
some
is.
Kiwi memes coming at you
That is a Kiwi
back in the
meme.
day.
That's one of
Police
the
Tin 7.
that's one of the famous Kiwi memes as well.
Always blowing the pie, man. What if it's a cheese pie? Like with cheese, beef and cheese, you're in trouble, man.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
limiting yourself there. Yeah, so and then Titus ends up downing the things, getting his worms, heading into the ocean, and 3 of them are looking for sea dicks at the same time. Thank you to Louise for that reference as well. Sea dicks is going to be the way I refute all sea cucumbers, and who knows, maybe on land as well, we might just name normal cucumbers dicks without the C. But anyway, sea, sea dicks is the thing. Titus is in there. Titus is caught up to Parker. Titus is caught up to to Doc, but then Doc finds his Buruk sea dick, runs out, quickly cuts off the little thing that you're supposed to, cuts it in half, and downs it instantly to the point where Ant was like not around at the start. And when Doc
Yeah.
goes done, he like, did you see him? Like I clocked
Yeah,
him going. He was like,
huh?
did you drop? Like he looked on the ground, like he threw it away or something. Like he wasn't
Yeah.
trusting Doc straight away. But that's how quick Doc was once he had it. Unfortunately, sending young Titus, who had a pie for dinner, shepherd's pie for dinner, into the begging component of our
Oh
show.
gosh.
So
What a
yeah,
classic, having a pie for dinner. That's such a Kiwi thing. Having pies for
Corey
dinner.
said, on that note, Jojo, everyone, big day at school tomorrow. Just wanted to say, log camp forever. Good laughs, fellas. Night. Thanks,
Good night,
mate. Corey,
Corey.
big fan. We can't wait to see what you do with your 130K on your wrist. Thanks for dropping in, man. We really appreciate it. Yeah, so we now have Titus campaigning with Kara and Susan, who are both looking to go home. We hear that there's only 2 people looking to go home. Kara explained earlier in the episode, Titus, why you actually didn't get the thing from her. And it's all about relationships. It's all about who you've connected with, who you want to bless with my $10,000. This is my life on the island. I'm not going to give it to a random. I want to give it to someone that I've actually connected with, and I know that it means a lot to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I like that. I wish Titus had another chance at it. Volt, not so much. But I, for one, appreciate like when people go hard, especially when he wants to take out Brett. So we have, Kara, Susan saying potentially they want to go home and sort of teasing Titus a little bit of maybe. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We come to the elimination at the arena. They have their final pitch, and none of them want to go home. Right? We've seen a couple times with the eliminated people. Some of them might just go, "Yeah, I'm in elimination, but I'm ready. Like I'm cool with it, you know." But they all actually want to stay. They need to be saved by a quitter, and Kara and Susan put their put their bracelets on someone else. Like again,
Yeah.
that that dynamic of walking down, putting your hand up, walking down while they're standing there, wanting to get saved, and then just giving to someone in the audience is so like it's
So
so
gut wrenching,
ballsy.
eh?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely devastating. Like I would hate to like just be like, oh, a chance of hope to stay. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I can imagine, like Titus says, well, the bracelet didn't mean much to someone who is staying on the show, but if you save someone, it makes it. Yeah, absolutely. And I
Yeah,
can imagine
definitely.
if I, Titus, I'm assuming, bro, I'm assuming this is what you did because this is what I would do. As soon as someone puts like the entire way time they're walking down the steps, all that, you're just like staring at them, like maybe even do puppy dog eyes, like like try to make you look sad as possible, just staring straight into their soul, and maybe even like mental telepathy. If mental telepathy is a thing, I'm doing it right now. Give it to me, please, please give it to me, please.
Well,
So
maybe here's the strategy, right? Now this could be a little bit Russell Hansey, I'm not sure. But if you're getting eliminated, do you put as much food as you can in your pockets? Be like, aha, if you want your food, someone's gonna have to quit and give me their bracelet.
yeah, I've got it all, and I'm going home.
Yeah.
Condoms full of food. Jonathan's actually saying that Brock and Sarah didn't even bother, right? Like with the pitch, the final save me
Yeah,
pitch. I don't know. Maybe it was edited out. I don't know how much they actually said, but yeah, it didn't look like too
but
much.
Brock had a really good point though, which like there's rumored of two people wanting to quit in a completely different camp, and they're complete strangers, and it's like,
Yeah.
what, it's been how many days out there? Like
Again, it
8.
goes to show
Yeah,
Corey. Corey was log camp, not in Wat camp, but for some reason, all of Wat camp loved him, right?
yeah,
So like, there's
exactly.
obviously relationships, that are formed and connections that are made, and we're going to see as we go forward that people start to know how the game is played. Will they be a lot more social butterflies? Maybe not sticking to camp as much, that sort of thing. Like I heard that the way the camps were actually, I got some inside info from a podcast I listened to that was interviewing anonymous players. I don't know if anyone's in this chat that might be one of them, but they basically said the way the camps were formed, like it was interesting why some camps were bigger than others because pre-season, like before going to the island, they were all at hotels or resorts, and it was 4 separate resorts, right?
Oh,
They weren't allowed to go see each other. Like they couldn't go out of their rooms, and there's chaperones to make sure that happened. But there were some hotel rooms with the in-between doors that go between rooms.
oh yeah.
They were doing that, and then they were also hanging out on the balconies and able to just talk to each other freely on the balconies. So there's actually on Facebook photos of them all taking with each other on the balconies, and essentially the pre-season setups for the resorts was almost basically what the camps were when they got there. And
Ah,
there were even some that apparently were going to camps and getting rejected because they weren't like with their crew on at the resorts or whatever. Like they were going to some other camps and going, no, 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 can't sit here. This is the cool people. This is what camp only. That sort of thing.
what
So I
camp
don't know.
on?
Yeah. Um,
Yeah. Oh, that's actually quite interesting though.
Jonathan says, guarantee you get put in the next challenge for the foreseeable future. Oh, hang on. What was that referring to? Mate, I'm losing these comments. I'm apologize to everyone. Kara did say that it's a game and it's a social experiment. It's all about who you make the best connections with. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Volt, of course, naughty, naughty. Who broke their contract? Big smack. I'm sure it wasn't you at all, Volt. No,
No,
no.
different. Not have been involved. No.
Yeah. So after Kara, Susan give their bracelets, we lose the four in elimination. We lose Kara and Susan. Six more people gone. Ant actually says, Ant says there's 45 people left. This didn't math in my head, man. Like because you know how I was keeping that spreadsheet before?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not doing the spreadsheet anymore, guys, because there is another one which is on the Million Dollar Island Australia fans group. There's someone who started like putting all this information together. I was like, hey, you're really
Yeah.
good. I should let you edit my amazing spreadsheet. He goes, oh, well, here's what I'm doing. I'm tracking it this way. And like, holy shit, this guy craps all over my spreadsheet. It's so much better. So yeah, I'm not doing it
Yeah.
anymore.
I
I'm gonna.
I recall you telling me that, Kahuna. It was so funny. You're like, oh, here's like this link to the stuff. It's like, oh, this is so sick. And you're like, yeah, the shit's all over my spreadsheet.
It's way better. But look at this. Look at this. I forget his name. I should give him a proper shout out, and I'll do it next week. Um, yeah, man, I forget, but I think it's Keegan, John Keegan, or Keegan J, or something like that. I apologize. I'll give you a proper shout out next week. But look at this. He's made a wiki for it, including color coded. Who's got all the money? 180, 130, 30, 30, 30. Everyone is there. Who's been eliminated in what order, whether it's purple
Oh
because they
wow.
were eliminated or blue because they quit. And that's the entire crew in chronological order, all the way back to
Oh,
Kelly
Kelly.
medically evacuated, pour a 40 out, um, and even the game history by episode as to what actually happened. So this is brilliant. This is now my reference. As far as color coordinating goes, Danica, like this is the one, you know what I mean? Moya said, I still like yours. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But it's a lot of work. And if someone's going to do it for me, I'll take that, man. Like, look, it's freaking brilliant. I did not do
Oh, that's
this,
awesome.
yeah, this extent. Even by day, what actually, like, who got what on what day. It's brilliant.
That's
The
awesome.
only thing that's missing from it, I would suggest, from a normal, like, Survivor challenge Wikipedia, is a list of what actual challenges took place per episode as well. That'd be interesting to
Yeah.
track too. But it shows you who was nominated, who won, all that sort of thing. So yeah, lots of information there, which is great to see. Danica, have you got? Is the address there? The address is not at the top of the screen. Uh, maybe I can put this in the comments.
Yeah. Just checking in the comments, I reckon.
There you go. That's the link there to this. There you go, Joy Joy. Moya, Joy Joy. Where is this? It's here. Okay.
Beauty.
So you can copy and paste that. But we lose 6. We got Ant says there's 45 left. According to this, and according to my spreadsheet when I was mathing it out, I had 47. So I don't know, but Ant said 45. I'll take him because he was there. I wasn't,
Yeah.
but I don't know how to math, I guess. I'm only half Asian, so I don't have it completely down. After he says 45 left, we get to the wheel spin. What number is it, Mucky? 59.
Oh, wait.
Nice.
Was it actually 59? I thought it was.
59. It was
Oh,
59. No, 69.
nice. Yeah.
59, Jake. Jake, this time is told he has to nominate 4 people with a clue. You will need to be able to think clearly in a tight situation.
Seems like a claustrophobia type challenge.
Yeah. So and by the way, at this point also says to everyone, spectators, heed my warning. Your time of reckoning is coming. There's people that have been cruising by in the shadows. A wooed awakening, he says. He actually says a wooed awakening. And I'm like, dude, like tell your script writers to stop giving you R words, man.
Yeah.
A wooed awakening? Don't say a wooed awakening on TV, bro. And he says D-Day is coming. So he's like, I think, and Sean actually gets a confessional and says, I think that means basically everyone with oh, it's you.
Oh,
It's actually Jonathan.
Oh, that's so sick.
It's
Oh,
yours, man. Okay, shout
oh,
out. Different name on
massive shout
Facebook,
out.
right? But this is a brilliant, brilliant wiki. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. So Jojo is actually asking, what would Jake do, and what would you do? Four people. What's the strategy here? What do you actually do, knowing that Brit is safe, and Jake has the power? Jake is in. Is Jake log? Wait, what is this? Does this have?
No, he's
Yeah.
red. He was in red, so that's
Yeah. So that's log.
top. No. Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
he's
It's
top.
like
He's top. He is top because he's with Brett. So that means he actually has the richest man. Yeah, top. There you go. Thank you.
there
So
we go.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Oh, I was thinking of Corey
Danny and
being red.
Amanda
Never mind.
left.
Huh?
Is that who's missing from that? That makes it to the 45. Maybe.
Maybe. I wonder I wonder
Okay.
if maybe with what Ant was teasing, what if they're gonna do like a squid Squid Game, red light, green light type
I mean,
type
potentially.
game. Yeah. With
Tight
everyone.
situation. As soon as I heard that and the potential of, yeah, like you said, claustrophobic or squeezing, I was like, oh, I'm screwed. That's no tight spaces for this man. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a wide open space is tight for me. So, you know, that's but that's it. We're heading into next week. We're heading to the end of our episode. Only 2 episodes, Mucky, this time, and we still went 2 hours. I blame the chat. I'm telling Chris,
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
the chat.
listening, man, it's the chat. They keep
It's
us
the chat.
going, and I love it. I appreciate it. Yeah. I everyone in chat, I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. Some quick news, ratings wise, we know that at the start it didn't do too great. It's still not doing particularly well, but the good news about the ratings is that it's consistent. So
Yeah.
first night was 400 something thousand. Second night dropped to 270. It's pretty much stayed at 270, 265, 270 the entire time for every episode. So what that means is it lost people on the first episode, but all the people that watched it and kept going have stuck with it, even with people like Vault not being there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
people are sticking with it and liking it. So ratings wise, it's still there. Another thing, big shout out to here, Jonathan saying, Islanders, please let me know what's wrong on the wiki. If anything's missing, let him know because the edit is ridiculously hard to follow sometimes. Like at the end of the Wed Wedding episode, when people were just giving away their bracelets like crazy, and then there was the quitters on top. We didn't know who was going where. Yeah, so here we go. I no longer think your Australian ratings should count. They said Challenge Australia had bad ratings too. I mean, Challenge Australia had horrible ratings. You know what the
Horrible.
final was, Mucky, for a national TV show like the Challenge Australia? The final had 11,000 viewers.
Oh gosh, that's bad.
It was ridiculous.
So
Um,
bad.
yeah. So Australians didn't like it, but it is a great show. But yeah, ratings okay. The other thing I wanted to let you know, last week we were talking about how there was no photo of Luke that I could find anywhere.
Yes.
The reason for that is, and it has been released on articles and all that sort of thing, is that the reason why Luke was left out of all promo material, no photos, nothing like that, is because he's currently suing the production company for the accident he had during that challenge
Oh,
when he knocked himself in the head. He's basically suing them for unsafe practices, all that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So uh, they like
oh.
apparently. I'm sure people here may be able to confirm if you don't want to break NDA or whatever, but apparently Islanders have also been told not to be in contact with him. He can't talk with anyone because of the lawsuit situation going on. He's claiming
Oh,
that it
wow.
was unsafe conditions. Basically, that tree was there. Here we go. Exactly right. Who's Luke? No idea who that is. Thank you. Well, um, yeah. So he ran that tree. They sawed off for the challenge, right? Thinking this tree's in the way. They're gonna hit it. So what we'll do is we'll saw it off so that it's a sharp thing going straight into the head rather than a
Oh,
right. And then apparently it took a long time to get medical attention. And this is the bit that blew my mind. In the lawsuit, he's alleging that the medical team had to give him 8 stitches with a freaking fishing hook and string and line. A fishing hook, man.
a
They
fishing
didn't have
hook.
They didn't have needle and thread in their medical kit. Like the actual medical team on the island for a show like this with $1 million on the line, they did it with a fishing hook and line.
I mean,
So
the budget's got to go somewhere to the winner.
yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's rough.
Um, Volt said, bro, the challenge is amazing in the US. I rate it. Yeah, absolutely. We cover it on here too, man. The Nullified Take. We got the challenge coverage. We got Survivor coverage. We got amazing race coverage. We got $1 Million Island coverage. We got coming up the traders we're going to cover. We're basically any of your trashy competition, reality based TV. We're going to talk about it. Yeah, budget was all in the money. And of course, the budget was used on the CGI character of Luke on the show. Oh no, Vol. You just want to be cancelled, don't you, man? You picked the absolute wrong worst. He's like, there's literally been hundreds of characters on this show. I'm gonna pick the dude that did revenge porn on his girlfriend. Yeah, good.
Oh wait,
No,
what?
and his OnlyFans. Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway, that's the challenge. But Mucky, I think 2 hours. Chris is gonna have our next again. But again, I'm
probably.
blaming chat. So I want to send a shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you, all the Islanders, all the people that watch. We love you. We appreciate you. You make this show a lot more fun. Mucky is a fun talk and a fun hang in and of himself. But tell me, Mucky, it's much better with him along for the ride, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Absolutely is. Having characters like the Vault, like Kara, Yasmin, everyone speaking in the comments is just so crack up. Such a wonderful time.
I love it. I love it. Oh, I need to find you amazing. I think it's on the same site, Chris. Yeah, I think, yeah. Wink, wink. Yar. Those sites will have it for sure. Volt said no. What he's yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man. He's a character. He was definitely a character while he was there. Good night, fam. Thanks for the podcast again. Love you guys. We love you too, Yasmin. Love hearts from Volt. Yay, Mucky. We love you all. Thank you, Danica. We appreciate everyone. Mucky, you good for the week?
I'm doing all because actually, before we end the podcast, I've got some exciting news. Some very exciting news. So, for the people here who may have watched our Australian Survivor Heroes vs Villains recaps, I'm doing a very specific week where my heart was broken, where Sneaky Steve was unfortunately voted out. I went and watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey like 6 or 7 times in that week, right? To try. But
that's what I do too when I'm upset.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who doesn't love watching Winnie the Pooh go around killing a bunch of people in the forest? It's great. But anyways, after pretty much self-funding it here in New Zealand, it has been confirmed that we are getting a sequel to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey sequel. It's been confirmed. The directors and producers have been posting about it. So
big news.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's very big news. I'm so happy. My money.
If anyone out there
spent.
wants to do a podcast with Mucky about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, by the way, if you don't know Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, what is it, Mucky?
Oh, so for those that don't know, so basically the story is that everything in the media's got a 50-year expiration date, which the expiry date for Winnie the Pooh had ended a couple of years ago. So now you can make whatever you want with Winnie the Pooh. So these couple of guys had made like a random Friday 13th style, blood slasher horror of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet going around killing a bunch of people in the forest. And it is the most beautiful 90 minutes of a movie I've ever seen. It played in cinemas. I went every night I could to watch it. When it stopped playing in cinemas, I rang the manager and sent in complaints because what the hell? Honestly, it was an absolute tragedy. So yeah, if anyone hasn't seen it, I highly recommend watching it. It's the best movie I've ever seen.
I'm back. Are we back?
Yes, you're back.
I got lost for a second. I lost internet. It wasn't me being I wasn't playing a joke about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I swear. Remove you from the stream. That's what Chris used to do.
Let's get out of it.
All right. So if you want to watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, reach out to Mucky on Instagram. I'm sure he'll be loving to break it all down with you. What's your Instagram, Mucky?
It's monkeyhope.mh. I'm happy to answer any questions about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, or Cocaine Bear. That's another
I
great
love
film.
Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear is
Yeah,
great.
that's a great
You
movie.
startled me so bad I froze. So we're gonna send a big shout out. Salamat po, mahal kita, joy joy. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the islanders. Thank you to all our chat. Thank you, Mucky. Another awesome week, brother. I really appreciate it. We're gonna do it again next week. You sure? You want to do it again?
Yes,
You got
absolutely,
it in you?
brother. I can't
All
wait.
right, man.
I can't wait.
All
Yeah.
right, buddy. I know you had a big day. It's tired. You're 2 hours ahead of us, 1 a.m. in New Zealand. So I'm going to let you go, bro, and have an awesome night. Thank you, everyone else. I appreciate you. Don't forget top 5 takes from Chris coming after every episode next week. And we'll be back Thursday, 9 p.m. live to do it all again. Please join us. If you haven't yet, please make sure you subscribe as well to the Nullified Take. Get our numbers up so we can, you know, make some moves in this sort of space and really give you the coverage that we're hoping to do. But again, thank you. Have a good night. Muck off back to camp and get your bulges out. Hey, see ya.
Hey, have a good night, everyone.